Hey Summoners, what's up? My name's Fansonics and welcome to LSN. Today, I'm going to be teaching you about mechanics. And mechanics, you're like, oh, what are mechanics? That's a fancy word, I don't understand. Well, I'm going to summarize. Mechanics are basically the things you do to play the game and play the game well, specific to champions or roles or just the general gameplay, and not really thinking about it, just doing it. And let's start with the most basic and awesome and important, clearly, mechanic in the game. Last hitting. Last hitting is just like fucking hitting the creep so you kill it and nothing else kills it. And that's like, it sounds so simple and it sounds so easy and it sounds just such like, oh well, Nathan, you're a dumbass. All you do is just like click at the right time. That is essentially, yeah, all you do. But some people struggle, and you know what? I struggle. I'm not a very good last hitter. I mean, I play AD carry, so I'm a relatively strong last hitter, but from time to time I kind of mess up, and this is gonna try and help you guys to improve on your last hitting ability, because frankly last hitting should take priority over a lot of other things, because if you can't last hit well, then you don't have the base foundation to be a good player, and if you don't have the base foundation to be a good player, then you can't be a good player, and this is what this is all about, being good players. So, I'm just gonna clear up a few things. Last hitting takes priority over harassing all the time. Like, okay, there are no hard and fast rules in this game, so I'm just gonna make that clear now. Nothing is set in stone all the time, but in general, if you can't get a kill off it, and you just wanna zone a bit, but you're gonna miss 2 creeps, for example, by, like, hitting the enemy AD carry, then it wasn't worth it, because you missed 2 creeps. That's 40 gold, that's like a tenth, just under a tenth of Doran's. If you do that 10 times in a row, you're down 10 attack damage. And if you're down 10 attack damage, you're lost. Like, it's over. You lose. So, if, for example, you're playing Caitlyn, and you're like, hey, I should fire a Q at the enemy AD carry, or fire a Q at these 2 creeps and these 2 minions and get the minions, you should always go for the minions, because they aren't gonna come back. That gold is not gonna come back. It's gone. If you lose it, it's in the void forever. It's gone. Disappeared. You lose. Game over. Nothing. No more. But if you, like, auto-attack or Q an enemy champion without killing them or doing significant damage, they're just gonna regen that shit back up, and you're gonna be like, well, that was a waste of my mana. And then you're gonna flame at your support for being shit. Well, probably. But I really just want to summarize and hard in that fact, pound in that fact that last hitting is very, very important, and you need to do it, and you need to be able to do that, and if you can't, you need to work on it, and you need to get better. But because you can probably win games, and you probably get pretty high in the ladder, by just last hitting and not dying. Like, there are just 2 massively essential things in the game: last hitting and not dying. They're so safe, and they're so consistent, and they're so just essential. Like, not feeding and last hitting. Remember this, please. Not feeding and last hitting. Because, alright, we've talked about blah blah blah, the theory behind last hitting, and basically it's essentially just hitting many last. And a fun fact, the world record for last hits is by Froggen, who got 335 by 25 minutes, is the rough number, which is fucking loads. I have no idea how he did that. I didn't even think that was possible, but he did it. It's very impressive, and I'm not saying you guys have to have 335 CS by 25 minutes, because that's bordering on possible, but let's look at some numbers. Every 10 minutes, you get roughly 100 creeps coming out, and that includes the 2 minutes start. So you can technically get 100 CS by 10 minutes, and that's just from not missing them. That's just from auto-attacking the minions, and hooray. But if you're in a bit of an active lane and you have to recall from time to time, a very good benchmark is 100 CS by around 13 minutes, because obviously it takes time to recall, and you're gonna harass, and you're gonna get harassed, and you're gonna lose some CS because there's another player in your lane. If there was no other champion in your lane, you could just last hit forever, and you'd win the game. Excuse me, hiccups. But that mark is quite strong, actually. You'd see most pro league players, most high elo players trying to more or less hit that 13-minute mark. If it gets pushed on to 14, that's okay. I mean, you could be doing better. And if it gets 15, that's not so good. But the point I'm trying to make here is that you have to try and be consistent, because it's okay to miss last hits if you're getting zoned, you know? If you're in a 1v2 lane, you're obviously going to miss loads of creeps. If you are a melee champion against a range champion, you're probably going to miss quite a few creeps, especially if you're someone like Riven who has no inbuilt sustain. So you're going to miss a few creeps just because the enemy champion's going to zone you. But when you start to miss creeps, just because of your own shittiness at the game, just because you auto-attack too late or too early, that's when you hit a huge problem zone, because you shouldn't ever be doing that. You should never be missing creeps just because you fucked up your auto-attack. Which brings me to the mechanical side of it. How to actually auto-attack. Now, I know this sounds dumb, because it's like, auto-attack, you just right-click Nathan. Jeez, are you retarded? And probably, but I'm going to explain myself. Last hitting is always different for every champion. Whether, let's put an example, Fiora, for me, is a really good last hitting champion because she has such a quick auto animation that does a lot of damage with her W, because she gets that extra AD from, like, the passive. So if you're Fiora and you just like, whoosh, you just fucking whip that minion and it's like easy last hits everywhere, and you can last hit massively efficiently, and then you got your Q to jump around. That's an easy last hitting. If you're playing a champion who is a bad last hitter, AP melees are generally the hardest last hit. So let's say Diana. She has quite a long auto attack animation. It's quite flowing, it's quite ceremonial, I guess is the word, and it takes a little while to proc. And while this little while is only 0.1 of a second, that's still quite a long time, and that will make you miss a lot of creeps. And since she's AP, she doesn't do much damage on her autos unless you consistently auto and get her passive up, but that's a different story. So she doesn't actually do that much damage at all, but you guys probably already know this. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips. My first best tip I can provide you is, as soon as you get into lane, level 1, find a melee minion with full health and auto attack it. But before you auto attack it, left click on him and auto attack. Look at his health bar and just get a rough estimate of the chunk that he lost from that one auto attack, and then take a look at the exact damage you did, because it will show you just in red next to the thing when you hit it. Take a look at the exact damage you did and memorize the chunk, because that'll be your reference. So you're never ever gonna do less damage than that to a melee minion, to a minion in general, except maybe a siege minion. But so if it's, let's say you're playing an 80 carry and you bought Doran's Blade, it should be between 73 and 77. This is with 80 marks, but without 80 runes. 80 quints. If you have 80 quints, it's gonna be a little higher. But it's between 73 and 77 damage. So you take that one auto attack and you do 70 damage. So then you're like, okay, this minion's getting focused by a cannon minion. It's losing chunks of health quite a lot because the cannon minion obviously does more damage. Take a left click on the minion that's getting focus and just look for his health. And when the health drops below 75 or whatever the number is, auto attack it. Like, it's really as simple as that. If you don't know if you're gonna hit a minion or not, left click, use your reference shot, and shoot the fucking minion when you need to. Like, it sounds so mind-numbingly simple to explain to people, but at the same time, it's really difficult, and like, I've by no means mastered it. No one has mastered it. Like, people miss last hits. It's just common, it's just what you do. There's lots of things going on, there's so many factors, and this is the very basics. This is like level fucking 1 shit right here. This is the first lesson, my birthday. Whee! And yesterday I got my first penta. I was like, what is this? Everything's happening at the same time. Because yesterday was League Theory. This is like level 1 shit, and I cannot stress this enough. Just wait for the auto, and just auto. Like, what do you want me to say? Just wait until the health drops below a certain point and auto. And yes, I know, it gets very difficult if there's a big wave of, let's say, 10 or 12 minions, of your minions pushing one minion, then that minion's going to go around really fast, and you will probably miss some autos. In that case, the best situation is to get all the minions that aren't being focused with 1 or 2 auto attacks, and then use something like, let's say, Graves' Q to clear all the minions at once. That means there's a lot less chance of doing it, but that's another little tip. I'm not going to talk to you about the theory of last hitting, because obviously you get gold fuck bitches, you know. Duh, that's like obvious, that's obvious. But I have another little tip for you guys, and that's practice. Like, people say practice makes perfect over and over and over and over because it's almost entirely true. Almost entirely true. I say almost because it's not 100% true. People can practice for a very long time and just not get any better. And that's why I'm here. If you practice with a certain champion auto-attacking, then you will get better. That is just the way it goes. Like, it's just the way it functions. Every champion, like I said, has a different auto attack, has a different base attack speed, has a different animation, has a different base attack damage. So, well, not every champion, but still. So that means that every time you switch champions, you're gonna lose your last hitting ability just a little bit because you're not comfortable with it. And once you get comfortable with a champion's auto attack animation, it just becomes so much easier. Like, if you just have it down, if you know the exact time it takes for your bullet or your sword to smack that minion in the dick, then you can calculate almost every last hit. And I say almost because, let's be honest, no hard and fast rules. It's not gonna be every minion, but it's gonna be a lot of them. So, that are my two main tips for you today, and hope you sat all the way through it. I know it's very, very basic, but I have this whole book. Hold on, where's my book? I have a bunch of notes, and these are all like the mechanics that I'm gonna go over. And that's the page for last hitting. And it's like the theory for last hitting and shit. And I hope you take this into consideration because it really, really will help you. One more thing, spend a couple of games just focusing on last hitting. Ignore the enemy champion. They aren't there. They're just doing their thing. You're just doing your thing. Just try and last hit. Obviously, if you come up with a kill opportunity, you can go for it. Because, you know, kills are like 20 last hits each, and that's a lot. So you can go for it, of course, and that's a good thing. But if they're harassing you, just fucking ignore them. Try and dodge any skill shots you can. Try and take minimal free damage, but just last hit. Because you may feel like you're losing the lane because they're harassing you and your health is lower than theirs. But if you've got more last hits than they do, you're just gonna recall, come back stronger, and beat the shit out of them. Because you're never really losing your lane until you're behind on last hits and have died a couple of times. So I want you to take that in consideration, and I just want to hammer home how important last hits are. So, good luck on Summoner's Rift. I hope you have a great time, and I'll see you tomorrow, where we do some pro play-by-play analysis. Hooray! Bye!